Not recording yet?
No, sorry.
Okay.
Something
Do
happened.
you want me to start that over, or shall we?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming here today. Welcome. My name is Sarah Dawn, and some of you may know me through my work with Leonard, publishing his ebooks and his newsletters and organizing events and just kind of general all around good stuff. We just want to welcome you here. Thank you for being a part of this global breathwork community. And I really feel that anyone who is working and continuing the teachings from Leonard, we're just a part of his living legacy. And that's such a beautiful community to be in and be a part of. So I really want to thank you for being here today. And Heike, if you could do one more technical thing and just mute our guests as they come in, that way we won't be getting a lot of background noise. And I just want to start to kind of kick us off here and start with an invocation, just a welcoming blessing to help us kind of ground in together. And so if you would join with me and just take a few deep breaths, and you can close your eyes and really just feel your feet on the floor and your body being supported and held up by the earth. And just feeling the goodness and the joy and the love that is here now in this community. And I'm just going to say a word of blessing on everyone who's joining us, either here live in the Zoom call or on Facebook, or if you're watching this later on our YouTube channel, just calling in a blessing of all that is good and all that is love, and this beautiful gift of breath that we have that is available to us everywhere in every moment, and just remembering and recalling that gift of life, a gift of breath, and knowing that everyone who arrives here is sound and well and safely nurtured and held in this breath, that it takes care of us. That breath truly takes care of us and supports us and nourishes us. And so we come here today in a sense of deep harmony and community and gathering and sharing in the blessings and the joy and the laughter and the love of our dear friend, Leonard Orr. And so I welcome that in and just invite in that heart and that love. So thank you for coming today. And let's see, I think that Peace, you want to start us off with some of Leonard's affirmations to kind of help set the tone also?
Yeah. So I'm going to start with this first one. I'm going to select shorter affirmations so that I will be saying them and you can repeat them at home, but the mics are muted, so we won't have all the back and forth. This first one is a little longer, but it's my favorite, so I'm starting with it. My mind is centered in infinite intelligence that knows my good. I am one with the creative power materializing all of my desires. So if you repeat that, and I'll say it again along with you. My mind is centered in infinite intelligence that knows my good. I am one with the creative power materializing all of my desires. All the cells of my body are daily bathed in the perfection of my divine being. All the cells of my body are daily bathed in the perfection of my divine being. I now have enough time, energy, wisdom, and money to accomplish all of my desires. I now have enough time, energy, wisdom, and money to accomplish all of my desires. J. I got J. I am always in the right place at the right time, successfully engaged in the right activity. J. I now receive assistance and cooperation from people. Yay! My days are filled with mental and physical pleasures. Yay! I now give and receive love freely. Yay! I no longer need permission to do the things I know should be done. Yay! And here's Heike's favorite. I now feel exhilarated and wonderful all the time. Yay! I do not have to suffer to get happiness. Yay! The more satisfied I am with the present situation, the more satisfaction I receive. Yay! I have the right to indulge in laziness as long as it is pleasurable. Yay! Everyone feels safe in my presence. I feel love for and from everyone. Yay! Everyone feels safe in my presence. I feel love for and from everyone. My physical body is a safe and pleasurable place to be. Yay! I am unique and valuable, and what I want matters. Yay! I am completely safe and secure in the physical world. Yay! Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you. So that completes the affirmation portion of
Heike, your microphone is still muted. I think that you were going to lead us in some breathing exercises.
Get some chi
So
flowing.
thank you. This is the fourth meeting of this blessed day, the day of the teacher. And Leonard passed on this day 2 years ago, and he probably wisely chose that day. So because we are celebrating him today, and we will continue to do that every year, to actually celebrate what he contributed to us. And so for those people that might watch it later, Leonard Orr, the founder of Rebirthing Breathwork, and a great inspiration behind those thoughts of physical immortality, prosperity consciousness, spiritual purification, mind mastery, and we will talk more in detail about all these things. So his life was dedicated to helping humanity to survive, actually, because he did ask Babaji, his spiritual teacher in India, what he could do to prevent all the predictions that Babaji was giving all the time. He was saying that the earth will go through so much transformation, and we're actually seeing it right now. We are in the middle of it. And he asked Babaji in the temple, where usually people could not ask questions, if he could do something to prevent that. And if the teachings of spiritual purification would actually prevent it. And Babaji did not give a clear answer. He just said, you can ask questions anytime. So for Leonard, that was the validation that this question was a good question to explore for us, what we could do to prevent the earth changes that Babaji and many others are so strongly predicting, so that we wake up. So I'm happy to celebrate this day with you, and I will start with the breathing exercise that he created, and they're called the 20 connected breaths. We've done them already a few times today, and hopefully everybody does them every day. So 4 short breaths, 1 long one, 4 times through the nose, and you can close your eyes and just start breathing. 4 short breaths, 1 long one, 4 times. I will not go through all of them, but let's do the mouth breathing because that really moves some energy. So 4 short breaths, 1 long one, 4 times again through the mouth. Okay, let's do that together. Yawning is actually a good sign because it just means that the energy is moving in your body. I saw a few of you doing that. So let's do now the silent breaths. It's 4 short breaths, 1 long one, but so softly, gently, silently, that there is no sound on the inhale and exhale. We are breathing purely divine energy. So please close your eyes and keep doing more than 20 breaths, because I will just also start with a little meditation. So start breathing 4 short breaths, 1 long one, so softly and so silent that you purely feel the energy moving in your body. And when you're breathing softly, connected, you will connect with divine inspiration, with divine energy. You will enter the space between your thoughts. That space that is the space of nothing and everything in potential, as Leonard used to say. We are connected to infinite possibility. And in that space, we can create our life the way we dream it, we want it, and then put energy behind it. We are the creator of our life. And I would like us to connect with the spirit of Leonard, who is now watching us and has been very present with all of us today, because his energy is still there, guiding and supporting and just inspiring us as much as we like him to be there. And we invite, of course, the energy of Babaji and all the ascended masters and the immortal masters that Leonard loved so much. Be their energy with us now, connecting us to our inner wisdom and to each other. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Did Jess come in? He was.
Yes,
I sent him the link.
yes.
I don't see him.
Oh, he was here.
He's not, okay, he's just not on my gallery view, I guess. I have to, here we go. There we go. I see what's happening.
Yes.
Waving to people. Oh, that's so wonderful to see.
So Peace, would you like to start or continue?
Sure. I'm just delighted to see all the faces here. I cannot get everyone at once, but my heart is just open and overflowing and full of joy for this gathering today. So what I wanted to start with, everybody has a different experience of meeting Leonard, and they have different focus, a different purpose, a different forms of participation. And that's what I'm very interested in hearing from everyone, is their particular focus and experience with Len and impact. But I'll start with mine, and I posted a little bit to the group, and I'm going to keep it short because I've had opportunities to speak in this forum before. But the aspect of it today that I want to talk about is his capacity to open not only his heart, but his home, and maintaining that training center as a refuge for people, not only for learning, rebirthing and breath work in their own spiritual purification, but also, as a family and a community aspect. And when I connected with Leonard, it was at a time in my life where my roots were just cut. I was disconnected, or not disconnected, but no longer rooted in any one place or community or family. I very much trying to find my way in the world on my own and struggling, and just not even realizing I was struggling. But that phone call when I accidentally connected with Leonard, a stranger on the telephone, and he's inviting me down to Virginia. And that was the start of the change of my life. I needed an anchor, a place to anchor, a place to belong. And it's a basic human need to have this sense of acceptance, love and acceptance, and belonging, and that you're okay, that unconditional belonging and love. And Leonard really, it just was this big field that I moved into and felt perfectly safe, perfectly welcomed and accepted. And he shared his story and his life and his purpose and his mission with me, which totally blew my mind because it was enormous. And that was the first time I'd ever heard, and I got it. I really got what he was saying, but it was so expansive, and he really had a lot of chutzpah, I thought, for choosing a mission that big. But I said, yeah, that's great, I'm in, and I've been here ever since. And that sense of belonging and acceptance and love continues to this day, and especially here with Heike and Sarah Dawn, who I feel carry that same energy for me. And, just, I'm crying. So much love and acceptance. I want to thank all of you. Thank Heike, thank you, Sarah, and thank you to everybody out there who's Can somebody else speak?
It's like, well, we're like family, breath connects us all. And that's such a cliche saying, but when you share in breath work and you share in the teachings that Leonard brought to us, it really does carry us into, I would say, a new reality, just a whole new awakening into life. And I am excited to hear from all of you. I'm wondering if we could start with Viola and Lila Edward, because I know that you both launched Rebirthing in Venezuela many years ago. And I wanted to meet you and connect with you for probably close to 20 years now. So it's just really a joy to have you here. And would love to hear about your meeting with Leonard and what that was like for you and how you grew into all of this.
Yeah, I met about rebirthing from trainer that was coming from Spain. And then immediately when she talked to us about Leonard, it was the 1993, I sent him a fax and just said, I want to meet you. I want to be in the Inspiration University. So we were in a workshop and we were in a training and they were doing vision and purpose and everybody was so creative. And I just had that thing like, here I am now. And in October, I'm going to be there in the Inspiration University. And it was such a simple vision board. Anyway, so it was, I was also following Guru Mai Chidvilasananda, and I went to the Mahasamadhi of Baba to north of New York, to South Fallsburg. And one day I heard that there is a fire in California. Laila was in Chicago, met me there. No, I think you came later. So I heard that there is a fire in California, and without thinking twice, I stand up. Somebody said that in the dormitory. So I stand up from the bed. I dressed, went to the public phone and called that number that I have. And Leonard picked up the phone and I said, can I speak with Leonard? And he said, yes. And I said, I heard there is a fire in California. Are you okay? And he said, yes, we are okay. And who's this? And I said, my name is Viola Edward. And he said, are you the Venezuelan woman who wanted to come and study with me? And I said, yes. And he said, where are you? I said, I'm in South Fallsburg. And he took 1 second and he said, well, that's going to happen because I'm going to be in Albany in 5 days.
Yes.
Whatever. Come. And I was saying, yes, but I'm here and money. And he said, just come and talk with Jack. And Layla was in Chicago. So I called her, Layla came and we went to Albany to meet him. And we had 1 year seminar there. And then he looked at me and he said, so you want to get training, huh? I said, yes. He said, okay, talk with so-and-so. There is a training in Philadelphia. And I was like, and he looked at me and I said, yes. And he said, no worries, So, but the story is that I don't know what happened. I'm a woman of huge luck. My life was a little bit turbulent with the early death of my father and many emigration, and Layla will say her part, but I have been blessed with so many gifts. And one of those gifts was, I don't know what happened, but I find myself in the car with Leonard driving toward Virginia. And you know me, everybody who know me, I talk a lot. I just couldn't talk. And he will tell me, so you were born in where? In Iraq? And then you moved to where? And I couldn't. The energy was so huge, like so big. Anyway, it was hours and hours driving at night and arriving to his home because Peace was saying how generous. Actually, I was in his home with his family and did some moving of some bath here and there and stayed there like 3 days or something, like really walking to talk and living the teaching. And then he arranged that somebody will take me to Philadelphia. And then I went to the Philadelphia Rebirthing Center and stayed there and with Tony. And then I had my training there. And in that time, I really was in an economical situation. And when they knew about my economical situation, they said, okay, what can you offer? And I was vegetarian, vegan by that time. And I said, I can cook. So I would wake up early and cook the meat, and they make me so many discounts and said, you can pay whenever you can. And I get my training, and I remember celebrating Leonard's birthday on the 15th. And there is one more story there. One day we drove, I don't know how long, at least like 2 hours to go and give a workshop someplace. And there were only one person and me. And I said, Leonard, by then I could talk to him. Yeah. And I said, Leonard, will you cancel? And he looked at me and he said, cancel? No, if there's one person, we will give a session. If it's 2 person, we will give the workshop. And he looked at me and he said, who knows where you're going to take me? Exactly. And then that was November 1993. And by February 1996, it was the first time we invited him to Venezuela. And we were in the place, and there were 100 people plus. And from that place, he said, "Hey, I told you, you see where you brought me." And, I have so many stories like this. But the other thing is that I was in the middle of a training in Venezuela. And when I finished my training with him and I needed to go back, and he said, "Now you have to start working." And I said, "I can't, I'm in a training." He said, "You just finished your training with me." And he said, I was like, because I was coming from corporate world and and I was patient in psychoanalysis for 4 years, like very orthodox. And I was like doubting, and he just make this and said, "You've been touched by the Lord, Viola. You need to start working."
My.
And, the rest of the story, I went there. I had a lot of trouble with that training anyway. So I had a recreation of my own orphanity. I started working by myself without support and healed that. And it was starting to work in December. And by February, I could come back to Philadelphia, pay my debt, and give a donation. And I was just blessed in the correct time, at the correct moment, in the correct place. And after some months, I just took it to corporate world, and it was a boom.
Oh, yeah.
After a while, I was in TV, radio, and the rest of the story in Venezuela. And then in 1998, when I wrote this book, and then Leonard gave me, I think you have this book in the center, and I always send you more copies if you need. So Leonard wrote me the prologue of the book, and we can read it later. Thank you so much for this space. He become like an uncle. He become a part of our family, and Haika come to Venezuela too, and we will see him frequently. And he just become part of our family, and I'm very blessed. Thank you.
The beautiful
Thank you so
thing,
much.
the beautiful thing that I had is like, I started with Leonard twice. One, because I was in Chicago, and I met him in Albany that same day that Viola and I were together. But then in wintertime, he went to Chicago to give us more work. And then we gathered in somebody's house, and Chicago is very cold in wintertime. So he was giving us that workshop, and he said, well, if we would have like a hot tub and somebody would like to have this water session so we can all see how is it with all the beauty of the silence and the accompanying and the slow movement, and how we get in the water is like one cell at a time, one piece of our body at a time. And then somebody said, oh, sorry, it's winter. No one here has a swimming suit. And then someone was going to say, we don't need swimming suit. And I said, I have a swimming suit in my purse. He said, what? How you carry a swimming suit in your purse in winter? I'm in Chicago.
I'm Venezuelan.
I said, I don't know, but I always love to have one on or on my purse. You never know. So I was so lucky to be guided into this tub in the first time to do this, not only the breathing session in water, but all the ritual of getting into the tub. I have my goosebumps now because this is a lovely memory of mine. And we all know that when Leonard is around, he really, really encouraged us to do associations, to do centers, to do spiritual communities, to do work with the elements. And then in that same space, he said, you need to do an association in Chicago. And I said, but I haven't finished my training. And same thing, he said, Philadelphia. You go to Philadelphia. So, well, I did talk, not exactly like Viola, but I remember Tony saying, and I wanted to do exchange. What can you do? What do you know how to do? I said, well, I can translate everything into Spanish. So I was training, I was translating, we were busy. And when I went back to Chicago after that, I really felt, and Leonard said, now, if you feel ready, you have to go for it. And then we did have this first association that I was lucky to be the president. called Chicagoland Rebirthers Association. And we were like 5 people in there. And then after that day, because we were like 5 people, we did a lot of work, and then we could invite him over, and we would continue our training more and more and more, and more people will meet him. So this first time that I did an association in Chicago, and then when I went to Caracas, and he went to Caracas also, he encouraged us to do the same thing. You must do an association because this is him, you know? So I was happy and lucky again to go through that, which will be like for the second time. But all the memories that come to mind is like, yeah, we can say that he was definitely part of family. And we were also like lucky enough to have everything he needed when he would go to Venezuela.
Okay, sometime
The fire was a problem.
One of the time we were thrown out of the house because, you know, we're in the Caribbean, no fire, but he needed fire. So he was in the patio with fire. So, you know, after he left, we needed to change the house because then we had an issue with the neighbor. But the other thing I want to tell you, always, I will always help people who want to train. Now I have a student coming from Brazil too. And you know how's the situation in Brazil. And he was negotiating with me the money and he will stay at home. And I always remember that story. I said, I was helped. I always will help people who want to be trained, and always will tell them the story that I was given. I was blessed and given, and, you know, so I think I'm back to life because of the breath work, of the conscious connected breathing. And for those who don't know me, I am taking it to the recovery. I have a program to take conscious connected breathing to recovery centers. So I want to train therapists in the recovery centers to become breath worker, and I want to train breath workers to become specialists in recovery, because I think where there is so many places. And then more blessed because I met my husband, Michael, in IBF, International Breathwork Foundation, celebrating the breathwork in 1999. And I'm with him since then. And then he created breath water fusion. And now we're taking breath water fusion to the world. So there is so many stories of blessing, generosity, life, breath. And I'm here with you today because I learned how to breathe again. I was a chain smoker. And thank you so much for this space. And we will always honor Leonard life and teaching and generosity, and all of you too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear your story. Finally, Leonard was always glowing when he spoke of you. And so to have this opportunity to hear your story is such a blessing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I have to tell you, because of that, now I'm a member of the Alliance of the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance. And this is the teaching, what we learn, keep going, keep growing, keep teaching, and keep learning. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yes. I would like to remember like the closest thing that, because it's more than one time that Leonard went to Venezuela. And while I was in Chicago, also it was more than one time. So we got very used to each other in like what I was like specialist for him. Every time he wanted somebody to translate, he would kind of look. Only few times we had help, because when there were like 9 days training, one person translating was a lot. But every time he would go, so that translation from English to Spanish, I would be doing it. But then being there, it's not only the translation, but the normal like learning. While we could look at each other, we could understand what is the intonation we're going to put into certain things. And then that's the richness of working with him, sometimes for him, and sometimes just together doing a lovely work. We have a lot of Leonard lovers in Venezuela, definitely big community.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And the language in Venezuela is Spanish. Yes, that's
Spanish.
the primary. Yes. Yeah, very good. Very
Yes,
good.
in some moment, I think Leonard said that we had more rebirth per capita than any other part of the world. Isn't it, Heike? Yes, it grows so much, and we will be almost every month in TV or radio, and taking it to business world. It was huge in the 90s. Yeah, and I remember Leonard would love this story, how I had a general manager with his secretary and the runner and other manager lying down in their boardroom, breathing all together with some tetany, and how they were hugging each other at the end. And he would love that story and will tell me again where they were and how it was. And it was so beautiful in that time. Of course, this time with the internet, there is so much going on. In that time was quite extraordinary to take that to corporate level. And I remember a manager who's telling me, what, you're telling me my breathing, what, my thinking, and I become a manager and have 4 kids and have graduate, what's going to happen if I breathe as you're telling me? And I would say, well, you will tell me, you know. And yeah, it was many things to celebrate and many things to learn and to keep learning. And later is the fusion between psychotherapy and breath work, which is another wonderful thing. Yeah.
So when you brought it into the corporates, you brought it in, you didn't bring the people from the corporation out to a training. You actually went into the business offices and conducted the sessions there.
Yes, of course. Always there will be 1 or 2 or 3 that they will come to train. I remember one time I had a judge who come to training, and once I visited him in his office, he had our certificate with his law certificate, and he will be, you know, we had many doctors, psychotherapists, engineer, economists. Yeah, it was a big boom in Venezuela. When I moved
what
to
time?
Cyprus,
When was this? When was this? What time?
1993 until 2002, when I moved to Cyprus. And we finished 2002. We did an IBF big global inspiration conference, and we had 207 people from 30 different countries in Margarita Island. And that was my goodbye to Venezuela. Then I follow my love and come to Cyprus. Then they didn't have connection with the body, you know, I will lose them at the second session. So started to work here, and my client will fly away, will not stay. So I had in Venezuela, we will do 10 sessions, and if it's needed, we will do some psychotherapy. Here, I will do 6 months of psychotherapy, and then I will start breath work, because the situation was so different. And separated island, different connection with the body. Now it's so much better, yes. But it took me 7 years plus 7 to install, to get my business back here, my name and what I do and all that. It took long years.
In Cyprus.
Cyprus, yes.
Yes.
And
That's really interesting.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to tell you about 2014 when Leonard went back to Venezuela, because that was maybe I would say previous time, because I don't know when I'm going to see him again, maybe in my dreams. But that was the time he went last time to Venezuela. And then this time I didn't have a house. I was living in an apartment. And then, of course, he will stay in the apartment. And because of the elements, he was happy because, okay, he would have water every day. And I told him, I'm so sorry, we cannot do fire in the balcony. He said, I'll teach you a way where we can have fire every day. And then we didn't have an open fire in the balcony, it was not allowed, but we did a huge tray with many candles, as you can imagine. And he would have his fire session, his water session, earth practice, and everything. I think he did enjoy that trip very much to Venezuela. And that was his last trip to Venezuela in this lifetime.
Yes.
Thank you
So
for this space.
Thank you
I'm
for
gonna
the space.
take this time to show you my fireplace in
Oh,
Manhattan.
see.
Yes,
9 candles on a tray.
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah. Lovely way
Thank you
to
so
fun.
much.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
So who else? Let me just scroll through and see who else is here.
Dan
We
is
have-
here.
Who is here?
Dan is here.
Oh,
John Hooks?
There we go. John Hooks. He's driving. Are you ready, John, now, or do you want me to see Jesse first? You have to unmute. Where'd he go?
Yes.
Would you like to?
I can probably get it going. Just have to close the windows. So turn
You-
on
you-
the
you-
air.
You are passengering, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you for asking. I was feeling nervous.
Yeah, I got my lovely lady driving.
Ah, lovely. So good. That's Q, yes?
Yeah, that's Q over there.
Yeah. Hi, where's your little one?
He is with my mom at the moment. He usually goes and takes some time with her on Sundays. And we're on our way to a foraging class right now. So it just happened to be converging at the same time as our celebration today. So, but I couldn't miss either. So we're multitasking.
Beautiful. So welcome. And so I'm going to leave it to you with what you'd like to share today. Basically, we're asking about Leonard and his impact and how you met and your ongoing relationship.
Yeah, Leonard, I met him through similar to what I've heard many other people say. They called a number in the back of the book and he answered the phone. And to my surprise, it was actually him answering the phone. And I asked him, I was like, me and my family, we really want to come do some rebirthing trainings with you. And we don't really have the money to come do it. And he was like, don't worry about that. Just come on down or talk to Yashoda. And so we talked to Yashoda and we organized it with her and she got us to our first time linking with Leonard. And that's why I met Heike and Sarah for the first time up in Sierraville. And it was really interesting because I saw the whole scene of me meeting Leonard in a dream before it happened. So after I called Leonard and he invited us up there, I had a dream where I saw Sierraville. I saw him pull up in his car, and the same interaction that I had with him when I met him in my dream, I had with him in actual waking life. And so that was my first time meeting him in Sierraville. And it was hugely impactful for my life. We spent 9 days out there doing the training, and within that month, he was already back in Chicago where I live, and he came to my house to do a small little training within about a month time of me meeting him. So it was like he was always ready to establish a strong friendship with people right from the get-go. He had no barriers to establishing a strong relationship. And when he signed my book, I gave him my book to sign that first time I met him, and he wrote in there that we're all pioneers, that we're all still pioneers in this. And it meant a lot to me because I took it very sincerely that we have much more to build on and to explore in this path that Leonard so clearly illustrated for us in his life and in his words. And so as time went by, I would come hang out in Virginia as much as I could, and he would come to Chicago. Whenever he would be in Chicago, I would always make sure to try to organize something or at least connect with him while he was here. But I think this was after, this was more in the late 2000s, whereas what Viola and Layla were speaking about, I think was in the 90s. So I never met y'all because I never tapped in with him until around 2005 was the first time I met him. But I had been reading his books for about 5 years and trying to practice the
It's breaking up a little bit.
But I was pranayama control. Okay. Can you hear me better now, Heike?
Yes, yes.
So I was practicing the breath more from a control the breath pranayama type of breathing. And so it took a little while after, breathing with Alfredo and you guys down in Sierraville to really learn how to keep the breath, let the breath be more free instead of so controlled and forced. And so that was a very fun transition, learning the different styles of breathing from Kundalini and pranayama techniques to what I've experienced now in rebirthing breath work. It feels very, very gentle, very feminine, very much led by the mother. And that's why it's always interesting that in rebirthing circles, it's very much more feminine. Whereas currently one of the trends of breath work, which I honor, is Wim Hof. But I was talking with my son and one of his friends while we were doing breath work yesterday, how it's a very masculine form from where I sit of breathing. And I love it too. But I really believe that us sharing what we do as rebirthing breath workers through the lineage of Leonard and Babaji is really important. And Leonard has always brought this gentleness and humor along with sincerity and authenticity to the practice. And I thank him for that. I have so many great experiences. One other funny thing is that time when he came to Chicago, he had called me to let me know he was in town because I was supposed to give him my address. And when he called me, he was on the same road I was driving on, one car in back of me.
Oh,
So I looked in my rear view mirror. He was like, yeah, I'm on Sheridan Road. I said, oh, you're on Sheridan Road. I'm on Sheridan Road. And so I looked in the rear view mirror and I said, are you in that blue Prius? He was like, yeah. And I said, I see you right there behind me. Just follow me to my home. And that was some of the mystical ways things happen with Leonard. But I'll just end it at that because I know there's a lot of great stories in here that could be shared.
Well, John, I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about your music and how Leonard has influenced that.
Oh, definitely. So Leonard has surely influenced my music. The first song that I wrote that was completely inspired by what he brought forth was called "I'm Alive Now," and it was basically a retelling and an adding on to the affirmations related to physical immortality. And I've since done many other songs related to the same things as well. And I share this music and breath work together around the globe. I've actually had a chance to go to Australia 4 times in sharing my music and breath work, along with a lot of other places, but that was the furthest place because of this breath work. And I always make sure to honor and big up Leonard Orr and this particular circle of breath work, because I see and I hear so many people inspired by breath work nowadays, and I know that Leonard has inspired a lot of what people are doing, and they fail to mention his name, and I don't like that. But I don't let it bother me too much. It just inspires me to share his name more with what I do. But yeah, you can find my music at Illuminati Congo on Spotify, on YouTube. The latest album I did is called Stupid Fresh Wisdom, and it's all about it's like a Zen and Tao in the form of hip hop lyrics, which I found to be some of the strongest contemplations of the Tao and Zen for physical immortality and breath work.
Beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
That's
And I did have that as the opening music last time when we did the Leonard's birthday celebration, but YouTube didn't allow me to load the video up with it in it. So they said I'm misusing protected music, so I had to take it out of the video. So that's why I didn't do it this time, because they protect your music.
Well, I'm gonna have to make a new one, a new version that's not protected, that we could just share in the community more freely.
Oh, that
Right.
would be good. Oh,
And
there,
John,
Lila's
please-
got you on.
Please feel free to periodically post. I know I do it, but I don't know that I'm aware of all the related pieces that you did that are related to rebirthing and breathwork. And I'd love to have them in the community group a little bit more, showing up
For sure.
periodically. So that invitation I extend to you, or
For sure.
request.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I just
You're
want
welcome.
I thank you, and I think what you said about Leonard's ability to connect so intimately with all of us. I think there's many people on this planet who feel that they have that unique, special relationship with Leonard, and he had it actually with many people, and that intimacy that he was able to create with people, and loving other people. And so when he was asked how can he connect so deeply and love people so deeply, he said because he loves himself. So he was always sending out self-love and self-approval. I mean, he would get into situation, and no matter what, he still loved himself. He did not criticize himself or put himself down, and it mirrored in what he gave to his friends and all people that wanted to connect to him. And
The last time-
it didn't matter if you knew him for a long time or for a short time. Yes, continue. Sorry.
The last time, no problem. The last time he was at my house, he did the most comfortable thing he could do as a friend, and he was talking to me from the toilet with the door open, just having a conversation. And you know, I was like, okay, that we're at that level now, Leonard. Okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But it was one of the most funny last memories I have of him at my home.
Oh, that's great. I'm so
Mm.
glad you shared that. I am. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you for letting
Ah.
me share today, and I'm really thankful that Peace, Heike, Sarah, that you're keeping up this these celebrations and this circle of the rebirthing breathwork community, and however I and all of us can continue to strengthen it. I know we're here to do it, so just keep us in tune.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Always wonderful to see you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
y'all too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
We've
bye,
got-
Miss Q.
So nice to meet
Yes.
you.
We've got Jesse Pirtle here also. Yes. Jesse, are you ready? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. I'm here.
Hi.
Hey there.
I haven't seen you since India in
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
year that was.
I don't think how long that was. That was like maybe 2010, 2011, maybe.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. Leonard called it the meeting of immortals. We went to Shivaratri festival in Rajkot, northern
Yeah.
India, and had lots of shenanigans around there. It
Yeah.
was very cool. And you want to talk about sadhu culture with us?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I also want to hear how your
How you
meeting
met?
Leonard's story and leading into the sadhu. So culture.
Yeah, for sure. So how I met Leonard. Well, I originally found Breaking the Death Habit, the book, in a new age bookstore in the Midwest. And so I read that. I did like 20 connected breaths and stuff like that, and did a little experimenting with rebirthing in the bathtub and stuff like that. I was coming from doing a lot of yoga and stuff like that, and being really involved in like the pagan community, and so a lot of like meditation type deal. So I messed with that for a while, and I kind of researched it online for a little while, and so at some point I found the website for Inspiration University, and I noticed it said something about like come out and do like a work trade or something like that for training. So so I sent an email over there, and I think I'm not sure if it was Peace that replied. I think it was actually Leonard. And he was like, yeah, actually, like I'm getting ready to go to Europe, and I need someone to come out and watch my horses for the winter and stuff like that. And he's like, I'd love to meet you before I go to Europe and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I'm hitchhiking through California right now. I was in Central California at the time. And when I sent him that email, I was thinking like, well, man, you're in Virginia. There's no way. Of course, he replied back, yeah, I'm in Northern California right now, getting ready to do a training. And I was like, oh, okay, well, perfect, I guess. Like, kind of an ongoing theme here, it seems. He's like, well, I just happen to be in the same place as you right now. And I was like, okay, well, great. So we met him, me and the girl I was traveling with met Leonard in Sierraville for that training. Can't remember. That would have been a couple of years before the India thing, maybe like a year or so before. And so I did my first session there in Sierraville with Alfredo. It was a real cool time. I think Sarah rebirthed the girl I was traveling with at the time. And
Can
so
you
yeah,
remind me her name? Who I think
I
is
think she was Vanessa. She might have.
Just-
She's going by Amiti. I'm not sure if she had changed.
Amiti.
names.
Was she leaving the next morning or something? She had to stay.
Yeah, we were on our way to a music festival at the time,
Yeah.
actually, and I think if I remember, you guys had a heck of a time of it.
We did. That's a cool story, but I won't take airtime for that. But it was pretty wild.
That shit was an intense experience, I think.
Yeah. It was fun.
And yeah, so we did sessions with you guys, and yeah, Leonard was like, well, yeah, how about you come out to Virginia and do some trainings and take care of my animals while I'm traveling. And so then we left like the next morning or something like that. Went and hit this music festival in Northern California. And then I hitchhiked from there back over to Virginia, so across the United States. And there I met, there was like a Michael at the center at the time, and Chris Carlton, who's not in his body anymore.
No,
And
no,
Pete.
Chris is in Australia.
No,
Chris
Chris Carlton.
Chris Scott, really?
He,
Yeah,
he
he
was here in
left,
Portland and he, yeah.
Oh,
He, I believe he passed from carbon monoxide poisoning in his camper.
Oh, God.
But yeah. So, and I know we helped out with the training that Heike did. And then when Leonard came back from Europe, he was like, well, there's this gathering of immortals going on in India. And so like, I think that was like maybe 6 months to a year before it happened. So I went back to the Midwest for a few months and then ended up meeting up with Leonard. And I know Sarah was there for the gathering of the immortals. We did a training in Hyderabad before that. I can't remember exactly who all was around for that one. I know it was a pretty international crowd. And yeah, so then we met Leonard out in Gujarat for the Shivratri on Girnar, the mountain or whatever. I know I spent most of we were there like a month or something. Pretty much the whole time in the woods with the sadhus and stuff. And one thing I definitely noticed is that they all have fire every day. That's actually one of the main parts of their worship, is lighting the fire. And they have a real specific way they build the fire pits. I think a lot of you guys know about that. The Vedic fire pit. It's like one of the main requirements for having a temple. And I asked a few of them about bathing, and the ones that I asked actually said they bathed every day. It's real dusty there, so and yeah, they're a lot of them, I mean, have been out there in caves like longer than I've been alive, just like doing yoga and doing pujas every day and stuff like that. I don't really exactly know what to say about it.
So what was the conversation? Was there conversation? What was the experience of being with them like? Pretty much participating in puja or?
Yeah, we hung out a lot. You know, we talked a lot about, they were real fascinated by like my phone and my camera and stuff. One thing I heard a lot is they always say Baba is fearless. That's how they refer to like themselves or sadhus as Baba, which means father, of course. They always say Baba is fearless. I heard them say that a whole lot. A lot of them, you know, they're just living in caves and stuff.
Jesse, were you there when, I'm sorry, you can go ahead if you.
Yeah.
Were you there when we walked off the path, the mountain path there was a small group of us, and we entered into one of the sadhu's caves. And as we walked in, he was doing connected breathing, just beautifully, like perfect connected breathing through the nose. And I could just feel, you know, the transcendental state like coming off of him. And it was like, wow, they're walking us right into his cave while he's doing this. And were you there for that when
yeah, for sure. It's you and me and I think Jesus and
Jesus,
a French guy with us.
Yeah, there was a couple of us. Yeah.
And then we met a real obnoxious guy on the way who like stopped us for a while. And hung out with this guy for a little bit. I had met that guy from, I guess it was a little bit before that. I'd been kind of traveling around there was a Brazilian girl there. She was going by Shakti. And we made friends with like this Italian guy who was like an initiated sadhu. He had like long dreadlocks and stuff, and he spoke Hindi and was walking around in an orange loincloth. And so he kind of introduced us to a lot of the local guys there in caves and stuff like that. And that guy, he had been studying under, he said his master, and his master had left his body or something like that. But the way they termed it was like Maha Samadhi or something like that, the breathless state. And he said his master was this guy. Remember he had a picture on the wall of him,
Yeah.
and he said he like could turn into a tiger or something wild like that.
Mhm.
It was what that guy was known for.
Yeah, he was having
And they
visits
were-
each night. He was awake all night, which is why he was resting and connected breathing during the day. He was going into states of samadhi, I thought is what they told us, in at night when his teacher
Yeah.
appeared to him.
Yeah, to meet with his master.
Yeah.
So traveling with Leonard in India was always like either a search for Babaji or for masters that had a certain level of mastery over their physical body. And
Yes.
and you never knew if you meet somebody who has real mastery or is just pretending to. And so
Yeah.
that was a continuous quest of trying to figure out what kind of energy is coming from the person, and then also connecting with them. So I found those travels in India really inspiring, and just meeting people and looking at their spiritual wisdom.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of that in India. It's a real racket, the spiritual marketplace, as it were. So
Who is the most impressive or interesting person, sadhu, that you met in that experience?
and there was kind of a language barrier for a lot of it, but probably that guy that Sarah was talking about, that was the one that definitely I'd say probably had the most like spiritual conversations with and stuff. There was some guys, there's like a guy that sits out at the end of the trail in this little shack and waits for you to come through and ring the bell. There's also another guy like way out by the end of the mountain. And it's real crazy. Those guys, they like, people carry them. I mean, there's no road out there or anything. So they carry like sacks of flour and rice and stuff on their backs out there. And there's little signs everywhere that say like, don't be out past dark because there's jaguars and stuff like that. And we saw a few lions while we were there.
Wow.
I know who was it we were driving back with? And we saw a lion on the road there. I think it might have been Annie Denny Boyd, if anybody knows who that is.
Annie,
Annie
you
Annie
traveled
was
with
there.
Annie. Oh, we had yes, Annie is one of our best friends. Yes.
Yeah.
She had a very enlightening experience. She had an experience there where she met somebody, and he healed her of a terminal disease. So she had a very
wow.
powerful experience with this person. Yes, she's very grateful for that. I didn't know that you were there. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was her and maybe Jerome from Australia we were driving back with.
Mhm.
The day that we went out to the lion preserve, and we saw as we were driving back, it was late at night, and I can't remember what that big temple is there on the coast that we went to as well in the same trip. But we saw a bunch of lions in the woods at like some kind of preserve or something, and then when we were driving back, this big female lioness just like wandered out on the road. We had to stop the car and stuff. So
Was that
pretty neat.
Shariksa Forest? Sariska?
Yeah,
Sariska?
something like
Yes.
that. I know it's an S
Sariska.
word. It's there on
I
the
think
coast.
Sariska.
The temple
Shiva
there
Lingam.
is Somnath. I think that's the Somnath temple.
Yeah, Somnath.
Wow.
Amazing place. Really.
I wanna
Somnath
get there.
is in Gujarat.
Yes.
I definitely
it's
want to
all
get there.
in
Yeah.
Gujarat,
Beautiful.
Gandhi's home state.
Mhm.
Partridge.
I remember
The interesting thing, the travels and everything that Leonard was doing was just focused on his vision of physical immortality, or his search for places that have a certain kind of power, and also for people that have a level of mastery and that they could teach us. And so if Jesse, if you are complete, I would like to ask Glenn Smiley. because he was also traveling a lot with Leonard and spreading rebirthing in the United States as well. And did you go with Leonard to India as well?
Oh, yeah. In 1980. Hi, everybody. I'm truly blessed to be here today listening to you all. It's just really very moving experience. So Leonard was my friend too. Well, first of all, I met him much like you guys are talking about, because in 1972, I started my journey in self-improvement with Silva Mind Control, and I became an instructor for that program, and I led it for 4.5 years. And I was teaching in my mind control class about physical immortality in 1972 to 1977. And when I wound down from that, I was having lunch with a chiropractor friend, and a man had come from Arizona, and we were having lunch together that was a friend of this guy. And this man says, I have a book for you. I said, I mean, I just met the guy. He said, you have a book for me? He said, yeah. So he hands me this book. It's Rebirthing in the New Age. So I took the book, I went home, I opened it to the back, to the names that were in the back of the book. And there was a lady, I was in Fort Lauderdale, there was a lady in Tampa, and there was a lady in Miami who were listed in the book. And so I called the lady in Tampa. This was like on a Thursday. And I said, I just got this book. I haven't read it yet, but I got to do this thing called Rebirthing, because I had just finished this instructorship for 4.5 years. And now I was going on to what was next in my life. So she said, well, can it wait a couple of weeks? I'm leaving Sunday for California. I won't be back for 2 weeks. Can it wait? I said, oh, no, I can't wait. I got to do this now. And so she said, well, why don't you come over Saturday night, and I'll rebirth you on Sunday morning before I go to California, before I leave for the airport. And I says, okay, I'll drive over. She says, well, where will you stay? I said, well, I'll get a hotel nearby. She says, oh, that's not necessary. We have an extra room in our house. If we're not here, the key will be under the mat. Come and make yourself at home. And then Sunday morning, we'll do this rebirthing thing. She was a psychologist and her husband was a veterinarian. And so I drove over with my friend. We went in. They weren't home. We went into their house, just helped ourselves, and they came home. And then in the next morning, she said, okay, we're going to do this thing called wet rebirthing in a hot tub, naked, with these two. She had a helper lady with her, these two ladies. And next thing I know, buck naked in a hot tub, I put a snorkel in my mouth trying to do this breathing. And I breathed for a long time. I don't know how long it was, but all of a sudden I popped out of the water. I just popped out and experienced the birth experience that happens for us all in those situations. But she held me and nurtured me at that moment when I came out of the water. But what I didn't know and realize was that while I was underwater breathing, her husband came home. And he had gotten in the hot tub also. And so she held me and nurtured me, and I enjoyed that. But he took me in his arms, and I lost it. For the first time in my life could I remember being held by a man. And it changed my life totally. It was such a moving experience for me. So I've never shared that before with anyone, but that's how it happened for me. She went on to California. I went to the lady in Miami for 2 dry sessions. And then Ree Anderson was her name in Tampa. Came back and I did another wet one with her. And then I was a rebirther. And I added it to the courses that I was leading and building. And so when I got this rebirthing book and about Leonard, they said there was going to be a jubilee. in 1978 was the first Jubilee in Snowmass, Massachusetts. So with my friend, we bought a motorhome and we traveled out to Snowmass, Colorado. And there was this whole group of other guys and girls like we were, who were all just starting out in this field. Chandra Ray was there, and Bill, all of the certified rebirthers got certified that year. And then I got certified in 1979 by in the next Jubilee. But it was just an incredible experience. I met Leonard, and for the first time, I met somebody else who believed what I believed and was teaching what I had been teaching about physical immortality. My initial entry into that was with a book called Ye Are Gods by Annalee Scarin. And that was the most profound book that I had ever. There you go. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I have a few books here, so I thought they could pop
I
up.
recommend. I recommend everybody get a copy of those books. And she has another one called Beyond Mortal Boundaries. So that too was part of it. But so I was teaching that, and when I met Leonard, here was somebody else on the planet. There you go. That's it too.
I love these books too.
Yeah, yeah. And so then Leonard was going to go to India in 1980, December of 1980. And I'd already done Rebirth America of 79. And I told my friend that this was probably our time to go to India. And I set up a test for God. If I'm supposed to go to India with Leonard and his group, Leonard's going to call me. If Leonard or calls me on the telephone, I know I'm supposed to go to India. Okay. So the day before Christmas, December 24th, the phone rings and it's Leonard. He was calling because somebody in London wanted to come do his 6-month training at Campbell Hot Springs and needed somebody to handle his rebirthing business in London. And Leonard's calling to ask me to come to London, go to London for 6 months while he gets this training for this guy. I said, no, Leonard, I'm not going to do that. But since you've called, I'm going to join you in India. Now, this was December 24th. They were leaving December 27th. And I didn't even have a passport. I mean, we had to go through the hoops. And so they left from New York and I left from Florida, and we met in Switzerland to do a training there with 76 people from all over Europe, many of whom did not even speak English. And we did this rebirthing training, and it was phenomenal. And then we went on to see Babaji, and walking through the woods and the rivers and our bags over our heads. And sure enough, there was Babaji. And something happened to Leonard. I'd never seen a transformation in anyone like I saw in Leonard. He became like a little child with his father around Babaji. He was so open-hearted and so alive when he was in the presence of Babaji. This was my first trip into the guruism and the holy men and in India and that whole thing. I mean, I didn't relate the same way he did, but I did have one meaningful moment with Babaji at a darshan on a evening while I was there, where he was just sitting up there in bliss, and I came up and knelt down in front of him, and I looked up at him, and as I looked up at him, this just love just washed through me, and I was complete. I didn't need to be there anymore. And we left like a week early. We were going to be 2 weeks here. We left a week early. But that was my experience with being with Babaji. I then came to be invited to Sathya Sai Baba's 60th birthday, and 1985. And You want to hear this part of it?
Sure.
Uh, Barbara, my wife Barbara and I have been together 40 years now, but she started with me in we met in fact 40 years ago this month. But she was getting ginseng done and I was getting rofting with my roffer, who was Ron Thompson in Tampa. And Phyllis, who was Ron's relationship, told Barbara while she's working on her, oh, we were out in Colorado teaching a rofting weekend there for people. And Sunday night, when the session was over, we were packing up, everybody was gone. And an Indian man walked in and he said, Sathya Sai Baba is inviting you to his 60th birthday celebration in India, November 23rd. And you can bring 7 people in your group. And Sai Baba promises that everyone will be safe all the way through. Go safely, ride back safely, go to India. And Barbara said, oh, well, we're going to go with you. And Phyllis said, we don't even know if we're going. Barbara said, yeah, yes, we're going. And so got together with Ron and they invited 2 other couples, which would be 8 people. But one of the other couples, the husband didn't want to go. He wasn't going to go. And so there would be 7 of us going. But just about a week or so before we were going to leave, he changed his mind and decided that he wanted to go with us. So that would be 8 people. And so he started making his plans to go to see Sai Baba. And a week before we left, he was killed in an automobile accident. And so 7 of us went. And she stayed, his wife, she stayed for 3 months at the ashram in Puttaparthi, doing her grieving process for having lost her husband. So 7 of us went. And we kind of got separated from them, and their plane took off for Puttaparthi from Bombay before we did. And when we got there, we missed the plane. So we had to stay in Bangalore the night before going to Puttaparthi. And that night, Barbara and I were in this Indian hotel. I had a vision. And there was a guy in this vision that I had never seen before, but it wasn't Sai Baba, because Sai Baba had this big bushy hair and orange robe he wore. This was a young guy, and he had like black hair down to his shoulders, parted in the middle. And in the vision, we were in a puja room, and everybody was sitting around the circle. And the guru came in, and he would look like to be about 20, 21 years old. And he was being with each person as he came around, and Barbara was to my left. And as he was with Barbara, he looked up at me, and I had that same feeling that I had had with Babaji, where that love they have, it just washes through you. It just washed through me. And I knew that this was something special, but I didn't know what it was. I hadn't ever seen this person. This wasn't the guru we were going to see. And this was our first trip to India to see Sai Baba. I wound up having 10 trips, over 10 years, 3 weeks at a time. But I said, it's not him. I don't know who it is. It's not him. Well, at one of my visits later, we met a girl named Zdenka from Yugoslavia. And she had been on a 30-day speech fast. She had not spoken to anyone in 30 days. And we came out of a darshan, and she came up and knocked on the window of our car and asked for a ride into the city. And she talked nonstop because she had been on a 30-day speech fast. So her name was Zdenka. She had an around the world pass, airline pass. And so we said, well, if you come to the United States, we have a place in New Jersey, we have a place in Florida. So come, visit, stay, you got a place to stay with your round the trip pass. So Barbara and I were in Florida sometime later, and we get a call. Zdenka is in New York at the airport at Kennedy. And we said, well, we're in Florida, but you're welcome to come to our house. We'll have somebody come pick you up and take you to our house and visit, and you can continue on your round the world trip. So they came and got her, and they took her to our house there. So we said, on the phone, talked to her, welcomed her, being all that. And she said, no, I'm coming to Florida to be with you. And she flew to Florida to be with us from Kennedy. And to backtrack a little bit, years ago, Barbara's father painted a picture of Barbara, using Barbara as a model. And at the last minute, he put on the mustache and a little goatee and made it into a man instead of a woman. So that's in our guest room. Zdenka comes in, we welcome her, we take her into the guest room to put her stuff there. And she looks at that painting that was hanging on the wall. And she said, where did you get a picture of Prima Baba? We said, oh, no, that's not Prima Baba. That's this painting her dad did. The lady said, oh, no, there's only 2 pictures of Prima Baba. That's Sai Baba in his next lifetime. That picture was hanging on the wall in our guest room. So on one of my last visit to Sai Baba, I told him, I said, we have this picture of you as Prima Baba. Do you want me to bring it? He says, you bring, I take. You bring, I take. But I never got back before he left. So that's some of the journey that we've been on. It's just so nice to talk with y'all. I appreciate it.
So good to have you here, Glenn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having this. I mean, Leonard was very special in our lives. I got to meet all of his wives, all of his kids. He would drop in, he would come to our one-day seminars in New Jersey and in Florida. He was so excited one year, he showed up in a motorhome because he had seen our motorhome when we were out at the Jubilee. So he came in his own motorhome, and he was so excited about that they were traveling around. But
yeah, he had a fireplace in it and a bathtub. And so he was traveling around the US prepared for all needs and circumstances. Thank you very much.
He really loved you, Glenn. I think I've told you that before, but I'll take this opportunity.
Oh,
it was very clear.
Yeah, we were friends as well as pioneers on the pathway. And I was privileged to have both. I think both of you, or Heike, you were in that weekend I did in
Afton, Virginia.
Yeah, we did the Enlivening Weekend there.
I was there also. You were there with Barbara. That was in, I think, 2003 or 2.
That was in the woods.
It was in the woods.
Jonathan's house.
Yes. And Heike, I was trying to connect with you the whole time, but you were always going upstairs giving sessions and working so hard. And I had no hair then. I had very, very short hair. Okay. So
you look,
I wouldn't expect you to remember that by any means.
Do you remember the talent show?
Oh yes. We went to Charlottesville to play Om Namah Shivaya, me on the harmonium.
Oh, I don't think I made it to that. We went to see Amaji. Was it that year or the next? She was in DC.
Well, they were having a talent show.
This was something else.
They were having a talent show in our weekends. I did Enlivening Weekends every weekend or every month for 27 years, somewhere around the country. And in the weekend, everybody stayed Friday night through Sunday night. But this particular time, I was with Leonard in the woods, and people wanted to be in the weekend with me, but they had a previous commitment to be in the talent night at the Unity Church. So I made a corporate decision and decided that we would pause the weekend long enough for everybody to go to the Unity Church and do the talent night, and then come back the next day, and we would start the Sunday session. So we did that. But on the way home, back to where my family was in the campsite, on the way back there, I started hearing this thing that went on in my head, this like scenario that all the way home and all the way back in the morning, it was going on. It's called God's Messenger. And so I was hearing it like with my spiritual ears, or with the radio was off. I was driving your car. Was it Peace? Was it your Heike? Maybe it was your car I had. I don't remember. Somebody gave me their car to use. And so
It might have
A
been Leonard's
minivan.
van.
oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I was driving it and I heard this whole thing. And so when we adjourned Saturday night, I heard it all the way back to the church. So it's called God's Messenger. And it was so much, it made me laugh out loud, some of it, hearing it going on, just like I was hearing the radio. So I signed up to be the last person to do whatever they were going to do for the town night. And I got up in front of that group and I delivered that whole thing in front of 300 people. Had never done anything like that before, but it's called God's Messenger. And I got a standing ovation in front of people. But I had just heard the whole thing. So it was just that I think God has a message for us all, and that we're all doing it and we're all getting it and we're all on the path. So the world needs our light right now. It needs our love. I love you, whether you know it or not. I love you, whether I show it or not. There are so many things I haven't said inside my heart. So now is a good time to start. You love me, whether you know it or not. You love me, whether you show it or not. There are so many things we haven't said inside our hearts. So now is a good time to start. I love me, whether I know it or not. I love me, whether I show it or not. There are so many things I haven't said inside my heart. So now is a good time to start. God loves us whether we know it or not. God loves us whether we show it or not. There are so many things we haven't said inside our hearts. So now is a good time to start. Give yourself a big hug.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you,
all.
Glenn. So
Thank you all.
beautiful.
And a big hug to you, Glenn.
Oh, thank you. I
Big
got
one.
it.
Yes.
I got it. Thank you. And I give it. I give it.
That was
So
beautiful.
we have still a few other people that haven't said and shared anything. So maybe we could open it. We're getting close to 2 hours. Well, there is Irene here who already was leading the Spanish meeting today, and one of our wonderful, beautiful rebirthers, and doing a lot for Rebirthing International España. Is there anything you like to share with us?
I'm very happy to be here and to listen to you all talking about Leonard. I can't say anything else now in this moment. Yes, thank you.
How about Simon or David, or is there Motama?
I'll introduce myself
David,
because I don't
welcome.
know anybody here except for Sarah, but I know everybody's heart, and I want to thank you for doing this, for putting this together and making it possible for us to be here. So this is just a short introduction because everybody has spoken so beautifully. But so I'm David Fields, and I live. I'm from Oregon. I'm an Oregonian, but I live in Mexico with my wife Faye, and we're back in Oregon because I'm a grandfather again.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, very special, heart opening to the max. I could tell a story like everybody, about meeting Leonard, and I think we met in 1980 or something like that, 81. And I was healing, really an introduction into my own deep inner work. I would say inner child work, when I became quite ill when I was about 30, I think. And so it was through the breath and through the fire that I came through that over a period of several years. But it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I'm just going to share one thing about Leonard that sticks out, and it's not dramatic. It's not dramatic at all, but I've never forgot it. And there's something so beautiful about it. We were in a church, and we had a strong thing happening in Portland in I think the mid 80s. And Yashu, Yashoda, she and I were very, very good friends. And we would sit with the fire a lot and sing. And we were all together in a church, and Leonard was there. We were involved in a longer program. And my wife and our first child, Julian, and Julian was just hanging out, drawing and painting, or drawing, coloring. And this is very, very simple and very, very innocent, but it imprinted me. And at the end of the talk, our son Julian wanted to share his picture, give his picture to Leonard. And so we took him up, and he was about 5, and he just handed the picture to Leonard, said, "This is for you, Leonard." And just the simplicity and the innocence of the way Leonard received my son and received the gift, it was so, he was just on that level of innocence with Julian. He saw Julian's essence, and it was just essence to essence. And so that imprinted me. That's never left my memory. And I had many occasions with Leonard, and but that's the one that sticks out. Just that innocence in that sharing that went on between Leonard and my son. And it really says everything, I think, So I've had a fire practice. Leonard really turned me on to fire. And then Amma in 1989 refined my practice with Agnihotra. And so that's been a consistent practice for me since 1989. But really, Leonard began, I think, when I was healing this physical, never physical, so it's funny to say that, this ordeal. It was through the fire and the breath that I came through that. And then Amma refined it. And I continue to take the opportunity anytime I can, if there's a large fire pit or something, to sit with a nice large fire. So that's been consistent ever since then. And then I did Panchakarma with Amma in 1993 at her ashram. It was the first time they did Panchakarma there. It's very difficult and very intense and challenging, and they were still refining their process. So she had me stay there for 3 months to go through this long process. And then at the end of it, she said, "Now you have 25 years added to your life. That's 25 more years fire." So I completed that. When did I complete that? Well, it was sometime in 2000 and whenever, late 2000, 2010 or whatever it was. And I told Amma that I had completed that 25 years, and that sometimes it's a little challenging to do it when I travel and stuff, morning and evening, but I have a little kit and all that I carry with me. But I had surrendered to it. And she said, "Well, now you have 25 more years." So really, that's just kind of a game, isn't it? It's a wonderful game, really, just to just do this dance, you know. So I always acknowledge Leonard, and also I have no, I always there's so much different kinds of breath work now, and refinements of Leonard's work. I always share when I have the opportunity to let people know where it came from, and the innocence and freedom and lack of control that has allowed for it to spread the way it has. So thank you all for keeping this beautiful feeling happening and this teaching going. I honor you all so much. And I just knew I had to make an introduction here. I was a little shy about pushing the video button at first. You know,
I'm glad to meet you. I've heard a lot about you from Sarah, so I'm happy to finally see your face here and hear about you.
Well, I see your faces sometimes on Facebook, and I just honor you.
Thank
and
you.
I respect you.
Thank you,
Each one of
David.
you so much, you know. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Nice to meet everybody. And Glenn, your devotion, your bhakti, your prema just, of course, lights up the fire in the heart. And I honor you, and it brought tears to my eyes, but honor each story has touched my heart so deeply. And you know, it truly is a time when this fire of the heart and this sharing of our gifts has never been more important. The intensity on the planet, the purification people are going through, and the safety people, the lack of safety people feel. This is part of the extremes going on in the world today, is this deep sense of uncertainty and discomfort with the uncertainty. And so this is so important that we be available and continue sitting with the fire and the breath. I'll share one more thing with you. I got COVID this spring.
Oh boy.
I was traveling in Peru and came home with it. And I tell you, it's quite a teaching. Quite a teaching. If you get, some people miraculously, they go through many, many different symptoms here with this. Some people's heart can just shake it off. It was my destiny to go into this fairly deeply. It attacks the lungs, but the lungs wrap around the heart. And so this has been nothing but a much deeper heart initiation for me. It's really an opportunity to heal at a deeper level, the heart and the separation that people feel. And also the uncertainty when one is not connected with the heart, the uncertainty when one lacks foundation with God and spirit. And it brings up whatever's not established in that understanding. It really can bring it up. I've had to process a lot of psychological stuff from the collective, from what you take in and day out, the sense of victimization. You know, it's been an amazing opportunity to address these issues and to breathe. And it's actually probably more than anything, it's been the COVID that has brought me back to the breath. I had been doing yogic practices all these times and kriyas that involve the breath. But there's something very profound and that opens with the connected breathing. And so I've been working with the breath and breathing daily in a very focused way, as you can appreciate, for several months, because there was all this, again, this psychological material that we have to deal with. And that I've had to deal with around the messages we've received. So breath work is essential for healing this whole thing. So it's been a big gift for me to be able to bring me back into this alignment with the breath. So thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
I
Yeah.
totally appreciate this sharing, because I think it's very important that we bring it into practical experiences in life that we have right now in these times. And I recently was listening to a medical doctor talking about the impact of the vaccination and all of that. And these things can, you can get very gloomy if you listen to those kinds of things.
Yes.
But she finished also up that was the heart energy. No matter what is given to us, or whatever is we are experiencing, or what is what is put into the body, that we shouldn't have in the body, that the heart energy will be so much stronger, that we can transform everything. And so that's why I think also here in this meeting, and all the meetings that we had today, it is so important at this time to connect with our essence, because that will transform, that will
Very much.
get us through.
Yeah, and
Very-
the one thing, the definition that I have of fear, my own personal definition, is fear is the signal to become fully present. And what Jess had said about Baba is fearless, well, Baba is that presence, and that presence is fearless. And so become fully present in the breath, and it will take you through.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I hope I don't know if I've been holding my iPad in my hand. I just put it on the pillow. I hope it hasn't been shaking and moving around too much.
It's been all right. It's
I
been all right.
switched out.
But
I
David, I
thought
love your sharing, because I feel like it touched on really two of the greatest things for me about Leonard's essence. And one is his presence, that childlike, innocent, like he was so in tune with his own pure divine nature and others, that he could engage in that with people. And I mean, that's how he created all of these intimate connections. He saw the natural divinity in people and was able to access that within people. I mean, what a gift for that to be seen. Maybe someone has never been in the presence of someone able to do that before. And it was just awesome to see him with children in that purity. And then I think a huge aspect of Leonard's personal practice, his personal sadhana, was all of the emotional material and memories that would surface. And he would talk about feeling safe enough to allow that to come to the surface and be present to it and heal it through the breath and the fire. And so I think, what you just shared just was a beautiful demonstration of that. And that, that's the opportunity we all have in the physical form, is to heal what's in our consciousness and to feel safe enough. And part of that safety is having this community and knowing that we're here supporting each other, and that other people are doing it and succeeding, and that, it builds momentum. So it's just a really beautiful way to, and this is our last session of the day, so it's just a beautiful way to kind of bring it all together in what are we doing here moving forward, as this legacy that Leonard left behind, which is just so hard to even fathom how many lives it's changed or what it's changed in the planet, for humanity. So it's really exciting to hear that. So I'm really glad that you spoke up and shared and listened to that nudge. Thank you. Yeah. Glenn, you want to share something? I think you need to unmute your microphone. If you click on the 3 dots there on your photo. Or Heike, can you unmute him as moderator?
I can, if
I think I got it now. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah.
Some years back, a TV studio called us and asked us to do an interview about rebirthing. And I agreed that they could come do an interview with us only if the moderator lady would get rebirth. And so they came and they spent 2 days with us. And we did wet rebirthing, we did the group rebirthing, we did the individual rebirthing with her. And that video is available for rebirthers to kind of explain what rebirthing is on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and put in my name, search my name, go to WAMI, which is the TV studio that did the interview. And it's an excellent way that I've used to introduce people somewhat to rebirthing.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. Yes, and I should speak to also, like, who we are. We're REBA. I don't know if we really announced our Rebirth International Breathwork Association. Our what is our website? rebirthingassociation.com is how you can find us. And we're here really, I just formed this alliance with Heike and Peace as longtime supporters and core team of working with Leonard. We came together naturally. And to continue his teachings and his specific methods. Thank you, Viola, you've got it up there on your phone there. We're working on our website. It's a work in process, but you can connect with us there and subscribe to our newsletter. And, we're organizing events, the Leonard Orr training that, he taught to, I don't know, millions, thousands of people all around the world. It's still going, it's still available. And we're here to support rebirthers that are still giving Leonard's original form of teachings. So we're pretty excited to just continue that work and to be available in that way. And like others were sharing, I feel like it's so important. It's so important right now that we get breath work out to people in whatever way they're willing to access it or able to. And healing with the elements and awareness of unconscious death urge. And whether or not you believe in physical immortality as something practical, just awareness of the unconscious death urge and working with that material in your own consciousness and your own relationship to life and what that means for you. It's about improving the quality of your life because people are really suffering right now, people that haven't had access to this information. And so I feel it's really important that we be available and share and give as much as we can at this time to really uplift our humanity and hopefully our planet also along with us. So thank you. I don't know, Heike, how would you like to, we want to do a little
Viola
bit.
was going to, she has her hand up, I think.
Yeah, I just get this that year in 1993 when I start working because I'm quite auditive and it was a gift that doesn't make noise. And today we're talking and stop working. It's just rolling. I just want to tell you timeless with it's like all this teaching timeless. It's like it's exactly just look. I'm looking.
Forever, together forever.
Forever and ever.
Forever
So I
one.
want to thank you all and Glenn, such a pleasure, all of you. It's
Thank
just
you.
like something very symbolic about the time and it's so particular and wanted to share it with you. Much love to all. And I hope we continue seeing each other here and there. There's so much more to share. And I want to tell you also that I'm part of the editorial board of several magazines in English, in Spanish and Arabic. Sometimes I work in Arabic. And please do send me some article if you wish. And then article is around 700 to 1,000 words, no more. And let me support you and spread your word around the world and see what we can do together to please do that. And hopefully one day also we can make this collective book together. So meanwhile, let's start with the article. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, and
I just want to acknowledge Heike and her marathon commitment today. She's been on all 4 sessions starting at I don't know what time. So thank you, Heike. You are
Thank you.
extraordinary.
Thank you.
Yes.
thank you. And before we finish now with Sarah's affirmative prayer, And so I hold this in the picture so that everybody can see it, so that we are honoring Leonard to this day. And Sarah is blessing us. She is a master in this affirmative prayer. It always touches me. And yes, for me, thank you to everybody as well for being here. And each meeting was different. And please, I will send around all the links, and they will be on Facebook. The first meeting, we had a lot of people from India, and it's very deep sharing. Then we had the German session, which was also really powerful and beautiful, with long-time rebirthers who started rebirthing basically also in Germany. And then we had the Spanish session. We're led by Irene and Armando, and now we are finishing up with Sarah's prayer. So I'm very grateful, and I know that what we've been doing here today, it's my deepest desire to honor Leonard and to keep spreading what he has given to us. So thank you all very much. And Peace for the last word. Maybe you also like to say something to finish before Sarah finishes.
Well, I think we can skip my breaking out into tears and crying again and just say this was wonderful. And thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you. Well, so for those of you that don't know, affirmative prayer is also known as affirmative mind treatment. And it's kind of the basis of Christian science of mind. I learned this through the Centers for Spiritual Living, which was based on Ernest Holmes, the foundation that came out of Ernest Holmes. And Leonard really, really loved New Thought and Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes and Mary Baker Eddy and all of these modern, in that time, modern day mystics coming out. And he would go regularly to a center to receive affirmative prayer. And so this is something that I did for Leonard on occasion. And it's something that you can incorporate into your life and receive as support for yourself. I'll try to share some links in the videos in the YouTube channel later on how to access more resources around that. But it's a beautiful process. So just let the energy of this wash over you, and just kind of listen in on it. And I hope you receive some blessings. So we'll start, just take some deep breaths, and again, feeling your feet on the floor and your body fully supported by the ever-loving, nourishing, and rich Mother Earth. And I'm going to start just by recognizing that there is an infinite presence that is infinite intelligence and infinite being, an infinite manifestation. It is unchanging, eternal, timeless, limitless, all possibility, all that is, and all isness, that very being and life essence, the essence behind the life essence that we are. It is that platform from which all of life springs. And I recognize that it is the presence of love, and it is the presence of good, regardless of any circumstances. It is there, and it is good, and it's all available to us throughout all of time and space. It is omnipresent, everywhere present, omnipotent, everywhere powerful, and omniscient, all-knowing. There's nothing outside of this presence. And so I recognize it, since it is everywhere present and everywhere powerful. It is right here within my body, in the cells of my body, in my breath and my voice, and the space between the cells and the atmosphere around me, and absolutely everywhere present in all of Earth, throughout all of time and space, and all of the universe. It is right here in your body, in your breath, and in your mind and thoughts and feelings. And it is here within us. And so from this space, I speak this word on behalf of Leonard and Leonard's legacy, knowing that Leonard is moving on exactly where he needs to be at just the right time and place. ever opening and expanding into greater states of being and service and love, and that gentleness and joy and kindness and innocence and generosity and openness and higher thinking and higher thought is still continuing on in all good ways for him and those who surrounded him as he incarnated here. And I speak this word for all of his students, knowing that they are divinely blessed and protected and guided and nurtured in all ways in their work, helping so many people access breath work and new thought and self-empowerment and physical immortality and human potential and healing at all levels. And so I speak this word, knowing that this impact on humanity is divinely guided, and that we can trust the breath. We can trust the breath to take care of us, regardless of any evidence otherwise, that we are whole and complete right here in these bodies, and that all is well. And so for this and all of these good things and so much more, I give deep thanks. And I release my word into the law of mind, which is a law just as natural as gravity. I release my word and I let go and I step out of the way and I give thanks. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And go in blessings and light. And until next time.
You.